The Real Build is about building better culture, leaders, visionaries, community to better serve the client. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and I'm here to showcase real business owners building companies with integrity, trust, and a commitment to making a positive impact. Join us as we explore their stories, insights, and strategies for success. With that being said, welcome to The Real Build.
You leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember.
Welcome to The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and today I got another special guest for you, a returning guest. He's going to be on the show quite a bit because he gives so much good insight just on business life. He's a really close friend of mine, one of my best friends. We talk multiple times a week, and I'm just always excited to have this guy on because of the knowledge he has and how much success he's been having in business as well. He's the owner of BSI Paving, and he's doing really, really well with that. We're in a couple of men's Bible study groups together, and he was just on a few episodes back, so go check that one out. But I wanted to bring him on to talk different topics today, but before we get started, I want to introduce him again, Ryan Austin. Welcome to The Real Build, man. How you doing?
What's up, buddy? Appreciate you having me on here. It's always a pleasure, and I'm very humbled to be on here. Like I said, you have a great following, and if you can just impact one person every single day, that's my mission in life. So, when I come on here, it's not to see how many people are on here. It's not to see, how many people are watching, but it's just that one person that clicks in and says, you know what, I'm struggling with that today, and I think that that's the biggest thing with me is like being that person for many to just a flick on the light switch, be that light in the room and come in. And, I really enjoy doing that. And, I'm doing it in my company right now. So it's like, I think that we as owners, we talked about it, a little bit yesterday, is we're constantly moving, we're constantly going, and we're at high stress levels. And, when we're at high stress levels, we have to take time, and I don't say take days off, but we have to take time off mentally for ourselves so we can reflect on what we're doing. Because when we get so dived into what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, we get lost. And so what I like to do is I like to reflect every single day and what I'm doing and, who I'm impacting and really who I'm trying to level up, and not only myself, but, people around me. So.
What's crazy about what you just said too, you weren't on it last night, but the Warriors for Christ group, we actually all talked about taking time off mentally too as well. So just to throw that on there too.
It gives me chills because it's like people that you hang out with and you start doing things, people start to notice those things. Like, well, how does this guy do this? How does this guy have time? Like, for instance, like I leave at a certain time every single day to go pick up my kids and go to their volleyball and their sports. And I went to my son's football game yesterday. And I pride myself on doing that because we have to take time, okay? Because time is so fast. So if we don't take time, like say time out, I'm going to go do this, instead of saying, well, I got to get this done, I got to get this done. This stuff is going to wait. Okay. Now we feel like we're pressured to do things because of our customers or the people that are around us. But truly, if we don't take time to pause and really reflect and do this, we're going to miss our whole life and we're going to wonder what happened. And so me going to my son's game yesterday, it's a testament of what I choose to do with my time and make sure I have time for my kids. Because when I was growing up, I think my dad made 2 or 3 games, and I think that, and out of the 2 or 3 games, he got kicked out of 2. And I was embarrassed to have my dad at the games. And so like for me, that's a reflection back in my head of saying, like, when I go to my kids, I'm very quiet. I watch, I cheer them on, I uplift them, I don't bring them down. So that's the key, is you always have to be the cheerleader for people around you. Because what happens is if you're a cheerleader for people around you, everybody lifts up. Everybody, not only yourself. When I push people to get better, that drives me to get better every single day. So you don't need somebody that's up here to follow. You can actually go down to this level and help people, and that's just as much gratification, and that's just as much awesome. Like it's hard to put it into words because it's like so awesome every single day when you can like literally. I tell my kid every single day when I drop him off, I say, "Hey, Gavin." He goes, "I know, I know, I know, I know." I said, "Gavin, go out and impact just one person today." That is things that you do with your kids because that what happens is, and I'm going to tell you the story, is this is what I've been doing since they were little kids, is you have to tell everybody how good your kids are in front of them. Because what happens is, and this is what I've been doing with my kids, so my kids, my everybody around me says, well, how come your kids are always so good? How come your kids are so polite? How come your kids are this? Because you're setting the expectations when you're around your friends. Hey, my kids did this. My kids are so good at this. My kids are so polite. My kids act like this. My kids act like in front of them, because then when they come around those people, there's an expectation. And what people don't realize is when you come up and say, well, my kid is this, my kid's terrible, my kid needs to settle down, my kid's this, you're putting that in your kid's head, and that kid is going to act out and do those same things. So I'm really dialing in just one person right now. If you find yourself doing that around other people, around your kids, you're failing them right now. You have to uplift your kids. You have to make sure that your kids are top priority no matter what you do in your life. And I think that's a big reason why, is because I didn't have a father figure. And so like I'm trying to be the best dad I can possibly be. And that's hard because we talked about in our groups. It's like it's hard to be a man nowadays because it's just hard. It's really hard, especially when you don't grow up with a dad figure around you. I had a grandpa that was really a good father figure. He was very, very instrumental in my life. But you got to understand, a grandfather and a dad, it's totally different. It's totally different. So like to have that expectation. So I'm fighting every single day to level up for my kids and figure out how I can be the best dad, the best human, the best person to be around. And I want my kids to open up with me. So my daughter is constantly talking to me. She's 17. She tells me everything. Yes, that's good. Sometimes you don't want to hear what your daughter has to say, but guess what? It's so instrumental in their life.
Mm.
Open communication, talking to them, letting them go. So I wanted to share that story with you guys because if anything in this whole podcast you can take into consideration on doing around your kids is uplift them. Don't bring them down around other people. Don't say, well, my kid does this around your kids. Don't say things like that because I've seen that. I've seen that. And I've seen what it does in the eyes of those kids. So you have to be very, very careful on what you say and how you say it. So,
Yeah, and we've talked about this. I mean, your kids are sponges, man. They absorb everything. They see everything. They do want to do everything that you do. So if you're not making a positive impact on them, and I mean, even with business too. I mean, they're watching you go to work. They're watching dad go to work. They're watching him come home. They're watching how dad is when he comes home. They're
yeah,
watching how dad is before he goes to work too. So ha doing those things that you're doing, man, are so impactful on your kids. And I commend you for them because I'm going to be the exact same way. A lot of parents, yeah, we're tired as business people. We don't always want to listen. We don't always want to talk. We're exhausted. The day takes a lot out of us just dealing with so many different things as business owners too. But
absolutely.
the one thing, like you said, that truly matters, no matter what, no matter how tired you are, is that you listen to those kids. And that is huge. One thing I wanted to get into you or get in with you today is you know, going into kind of these topics of business and people struggle and stuff like that. Like you and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, and we a lot of people I feel like right now are kind of struggling. Mentally they're exhausted, physically they're exhausted. Some people may have tapped out, some people are on the brink, some people are just there's just a lot going on in the world right now. A lot of I mean, it's just constant, like with the news, the negativity, every single little thing or big thing going on too. There's just so much negative, and Then a lot of people with business too. Usually election years, things slow down a little bit. It hasn't for you, so that's why I want you to talk about this a little bit as well, or a lot,
Yeah.
because it's there's a lot of people I've talked to that just have seemed to be going through it, and it just keeps happening down the line in all different businesses. So what's some of your advice? Because you're obviously talk about your company right now. While a lot of people are struggling and slowing down, you guys are booming. You're doing an amazing job. So maybe talk about that a little bit and some of the strategies and things that you're doing that people should implement into their companies as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think that my number one thing. I have a couple things I do, but my number one thing is like, who are you around? You know, like who are you around on a daily basis? Like, are you? Because here's the thing. 7 years ago, I was in a drought of like literally like I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was stressed to the gills. I was coming into work just to come into work. I was staring at the computer screen. I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then in fact, by 12 o'clock, I'm like, well, where am I gonna go to have a drink? Okay. And so I was hanging out in bars. I was hanging out in happy hours with customers that I thought were good customers. Okay. So I want everybody to listen to this because you have to self-reflect on where you're at in your life. Okay. Things negativity attracts negativity. I think so. I got a calendar or I got a candle from one of my guys, and it says, and it's right in front of me. It says, "Don't let negative people drain the positive energy." That is so crucial in your life. Like if you're hanging out with people that are complaining about woe is me all the time. If you're hanging out with people that say they're slow, why can't they get work? Oh, the infamous one everybody's talking about is you can't get guys. Well, why can't you get guys? Because you're constantly being negative about it. People aren't drawn to you. So I'm going to read this again. Don't let negative people drain your positive energy. If you're so positive, Ed Milet says it. Be so positive, negative people don't want to hang out with you. That is the number one thing I do on a daily basis. 7 years ago, I was that woe is me, going to the bar, drinking. And then now, since November 17th to 17, I haven't had a drink. So the positivity has completely changed my life. But guess what? I had to make the decision. You can hang around with people. Here's the thing: what people don't understand is well, I can't let my friends down. I can't leave my friends. I can't look the other way. They're gonna think I'm a bad friend. If they're being like that, they're not good friends. Call them out. Let them know you don't want to be like that around them. And if they can't make the change because they like you, guess what? You have to make new friends. You have to go out to new friends and do different things. So number one is literally hang around positive people. If like be the light in the room or find the light. Be that person that you want to influence. And so like when I get this a lot. When people come up to me, they talk to me and they leave and they say, I'm so excited. I'm jacked up. I'm ready to go. And you leave them with that energy. If people don't leave you with energy, find out what you're doing with your time. Because if you're wasting time with negative people, then you are going to come down that negative path. But if you're hanging out with positive people, those people push you so fast and they push you more and more and more. I have people that are in my office that literally are pushing me on a daily basis because they are so driven and so positive and they're always looking at the positive in things and not the negative. If your culture is all about negative and all about negativeness, that's the thing is, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. We have people in our company that are negative, but guess what? When I go around them and I get them to be positive and I have everybody else, we can shift that narrative. Because guess what? People only know what they know. So if they came from a company that is negative, toxic, and it's me against the world and all this stuff, you're going to have to change that person. You're going to have to uplift that person to say, hey, bud, give me a hug. It's safe here. We got you. That's the key in life is to have people. And you brought up something, the TV. Cut it out of your life. It's no good. I don't watch it. I didn't watch the debate last night. I'm not into politics because guess what? Regardless of who is president, I'm going to be successful in every single way. And I want people to hear this. You are going to be successful if you put your mind to it. Stop playing the woe is me. If you play the woe is me, guess what's going to happen? Oh, if I get this president, man, they're going to do this and they're going to, guess what? There's tactics to go around that. There's tactics to get things. Be smarter than the problem. If you are constantly being negative, you are going to be the problem. And I'm not going to hang out with you. In fact, so much that if I'm not talking to you in my life a lot, I'm going to call people out. If I'm not talking to you all the time, it's because when I talk to you, there's negativeness in you, or there's constantly going down the negative path because I can't be around that. I tell my wife that all the time. I cannot have negativity around me because I fall in that sack and in the ground, and I'm like, you know what? Please untie that and get me out of here. I can't handle it anymore. So you have to uplift yourself and you have to constantly be around positive people. I have 3 people in my life that if I'm in a woe me, I call them. You're one of them. Like that is the key, is to have people in your life that you can constantly go to uplift you out of that. So that's the first one. So we can get into a ton of things, but that's the first one. The second one is be consistent. Be consistent, because when you're consistent doing the things that make you win, you will constantly be driving the force and going on the positive. When you start doing and stopping the things that makes you successful and doing because you think you've made it there, that's when things start to go downhill. I sell. I'm in sales. I tell people, well, I don't sell. I literally educate. So when I educate people because they're spending a lot of money. Do you think the tactic of educating people or selling people is different? I have, and I don't care who I tell my secrets to, because this is funny, because you have to do what I do, and not a lot of people can do it because I'm 100 miles an hour, 24/7. I'm with my kids. People don't understand. They don't understand how I do it. I was gone 14 out of 18 weeks with volleyball, 14 weeks in running a company. Not many people can do that. So what I'm telling you is you have to be consistent in what you do on a daily basis. If you're getting up every single day and you're watching the news, that's catapulting you to negativity immediately into work. How about get up and read the Bible? How about pray? How about pray for gratitude and all this other stuff that people are around you? Pray for the bills of the world that, hey, I'm glad I have him in my life. Pray for people that are suffering and want to get out of it. That's showing gratitude and making sure that you're praying for people, and say what you're thankful for to God every single day. If you can do that, if you can take 5 minutes every single day, say a short prayer and literally show gratitude of people in your life and text them and say, man, I don't know what I'd do without you in my life. Perfect example, Matt Johnson. For those of you that follow Matt Johnson, dude, need to follow him. He's a faith mentor in my life. That guy has catapulted me to the next level. And what I mean by that is when it gets me emotional talking about it, is if I didn't have this guy in my life, I don't know where I'd be. So it's having the right people in your life. And if you can't find those people, you have to search hard and pray about it. And for those of you that aren't faith driven, pick up the book and just start. Start with no expectations. Just read it. You'll read a self-help book. You'll read all these things. But guess what? The number one selling book as leadership is? It's the Bible. It gives you so much education on a daily basis. It gives you every single conflict, every single thing that you can possibly have in your life. It moves the needle. So I say this as that's number 2. So I've already just told you 2 key things. But if you just say, well, I'm going to start putting that together, it's work. It's a lot of work. So you got to understand that, like, this is not something you're going to start tomorrow and say, well, I'm going to do all this and I'm going to do this, this, and this. I told you the other day, just start 15, 20 minutes early waking up. Just start today. I say this quote all the time. And I don't know who wrote it, but you can choose to one day or day one. And I've said this on many podcasts. You can choose to wallow and say, well, one day I'm going to be this person. One day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do this. Or you can say, today is day one. I'm going to start and I'm going to put it in play, and I'm just going to do it little by little by little. Because ultimately, you can't get to where I'm at right now in a couple of days. It takes years and years. It's 7 years and I'm still working. I still have problems in my company. In fact, so much that we had an issue this morning. But I am not perfect. I will never be perfect. There's only one perfect person in this world, is God. He died for us, and we sin on a constant basis. Okay. So I'm not perfect. So you can't idolize me. There's nobody in this world that you can idolize, that you can think that will get you out of what you're doing right now. But God. So I say this because people are probably going to be like, well, dude, come on, seriously? Just try it. Try it. You can't say it doesn't work until you try it. Because when I started to dive into that, and I get anxiety. Trust me, I have bad anxiety. But when I'm in the moment with the Lord, that all anxiety goes away because I'm no bigger than a tiny mustard seed. So what I mean by that is I'm not anybody special. You're not anything special. And stop thinking you are. Because if you think you're special, people around you are not going to want to be around you. But if you pour into people and you give people everything you possibly can, that's when magic starts to happen. That's when people start to come out of the thick of the thick. I call it the devil. When you have problems, say, devil, get behind me. Mm-hmm. Because the devil creeps into your brain. And Matt Johnson told me this, and I say it all the time, and he told our group, and everybody says it, but if you say, devil, get behind me, you have nothing in front of you stopping you. So when you have these bad thoughts, when you have these things, say, devil, get behind me. I'm not taking this today. I'm getting you out, and I'm going to move on with my life. Because ultimately, I'm not perfect. I have negative thoughts all the time. We have negative thoughts in our brain all the time. But it's how we choose to get around that, how we choose to go through it sometimes. You said it yesterday when we were on the phone. You said there's always valleys. I'll tell you right now, when you're on the top of the mountain, you better enjoy it because there is valleys. Mm-hmm. Just take it. When people climb Mount Everest, they go up there and they're like, oh my gosh, look at this. There's times in my life that I feel like I'm on Mount Everest. But there's also times where, like a couple weeks ago, I thought I was in hell. So you got to understand that it's a certain way to get out of that. It's having the positive people around your life. Don't let negative people drain your positive energy. So that's two things. So why don't you talk a little bit and reflect on that, because ultimately it's so powerful what I've accomplished because of that. Because I am nothing. When I try to do things myself, it always fails. Yeah. It always fails. It's never, ever been successful. It literally, there's something that always happens. But when I put my faith in God and I ask and I pray about it and he puts it together, it's so easy.
Yeah, no, man, you and I talk about this quite a bit, and you get so distracted by the outside world. You get so distracted by everything that's going on. And you and I have talked about just like my own life. I'll talk about that with, business, and I run obviously a custom home building company, and then I run a real estate business, and then I have a home watch business, and then after that I come home and I have my wife, and then I have my son who's 11 months old, and it's just go 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 go, and there's usually never that time. Well, there is the time, you just have to create it basically off of what you just said too, and create that time, get up a little bit earlier and have that time to yourself, have that time with God, have that silent, quiet time where you can just sit and speak and clear your mind and just let your mind rest. And not a lot of people do that, and it's such a critical thing in business as business owners too, because you will combust, you will have a blow up. I had a blow up 3 weeks ago now, I think it is, and the stress on my body alone, I'm dealing with it now. I'm feeling pains everywhere. I'm going to a chiropractor today. It was a lot, and there's ways to avoid that and get away from that too. And um, so many good things too, as far as like going back to what you said about going back to what works. Like if your business is dragging, there's somewhere in your business that you're not paying attention to, somewhere in your business that you're not doing what you used to do because you've
Mm,
just kind of put it off because think times got good and now times are getting a little tougher or more normalized. So you got to go back to what used to work too. And maybe for me, that is my sales and follow up and stuff like that because we were so busy. Maybe I got a little lax in it,
mhm.
and the new stuff coming in, and I wasn't following up as much as I used to. And I used to be, and I'm really good at that because I get complimented on it all the time of people be like, "You're the only one that followed up with me. You're the only one that talked to me." All these other builders, but that's my leg up, right? Because these
Yeah.
other builders aren't following up. I am.
Yep.
And then when I stop, I'm just like all those guys. And then
Mhm.
they're all wondering why they don't have work. I have work, but now I'm not getting newer work. So it's like go back to what worked. And dude, you're so right on um all of this too. Just being with God, putting, for those of you that aren't, Christian or don't have faith and stuff, and I mean, this might not be but maybe it's a great conversation for you to listen to. I mean, it is.
I always say if you're not faith driven or if you're not,
Yeah,
there's a reason for it,
yeah,
and I'm going to get deep here. There's a reason for it because ultimately you were hurt somewhere. Okay, so if you can go back in your brain and you can obviously say, well, where did I get hurt? Did the church hurt me? Did somebody in the church hurt me? Was I around people growing up that said it did things but did another thing? The church has done so many bad things, and I'm going to be very, very blunt with everybody right now. The church has really screwed up. Okay, because ultimately you don't do church on Sunday, you do church every single day. You show up every single day doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, and you don't go around it after Sunday and say, well, now it's Sunday's done, so now I can go back to my normal. No, it's every single day. You have to live a life through him. And if you can't do that, so when I go back to it, like if you're not faith driven, there's somebody that hurts you. So just dig deep. I mean, you can DM me, you can talk, whatever you want to do. I open people to reach out to me that are questioning that because ultimately I'm going to tell you a story that's going to get everybody. I grew up in a Lutheran background. And the Lutheran background obviously was you go and stay in the pews, you stand up, sit down, kneel, stand up, sit down, do the
right.
hymns, and you go. And it's pretty dry, and it's just the way that I grew up. Well, I had catechism when I was in fourth and fifth grade, and I'll never forget this. And this is why I was so timid because ultimately I was one of those people. So I'm sharing this stuff with you guys because ultimately, if you're in a place right now where you're like, well, I'm not sure what I should do. I don't think I believe because of this person or because of this. I went to catechism. Well, they call it confirmation in Lutheran, but I say catechism because a lot of people, it's similar to that. So I went to be confirmed. Well, I had basketball. I was sports. I was in sports. It was my only outlet as a kid that I could actually feel good about myself. Because when you do sports, you have coaches around you that are like dad figures. So I felt at the time that I needed to go to sports. Well, my pastor at the time said that if you choose sports over God, then you're doing it all wrong. You need to leave the church. And that's what he said to me at 14 and 15 years old. So if you can imagine a pastor saying that to you, you choose this or this. That's not what God says. So I was hurt from the church and I went away from the church for many, many years. What really is that the church? That's not church. That's judging.
Mm-hmm.
God says don't judge. You open your arms to anybody. That's why my company, I feel, is so good because we open our arms to everybody. It's a second chance business, guys. We do asphalt and concrete. People drink, people use drugs. In fact, so much right now that I have somebody that I'm trying to save from addiction. It's tough. But if you hold those people accountable and you love them, I get teary eyed talking about it because it's so emotional in my background. I want to help. And when I help people, I level up myself. Because when you pour into people, it makes you alive. My drug of choice is helping people. You can choose to drink alcohol, you can choose to use drugs, but I choose one addiction for another. I choose alcohol to helping people. Doesn't that sound better? So I went into that. And so when I'm telling you guys, and we're talking about this faith background, is you have to be open because I was open. But I didn't have to do it in the church. I did it every day. I just picked up the book and I started reading. And if I didn't have my mentor in my life like Matt, I don't know where I'd be. So that's why I'm telling you, it's very important to choose the people around you. It's very important. You have to choose the positive people. So I look at that as like a life lesson. It's like, perfect example is my grandma always used to tell me, she goes, Ryan, you're guilt by association. You hang out with these people, they do bad things. That's what they're going to tell them. They're going to think you do. Mm-hmm. So when you hang out with negative people, guess what's going to happen when people see you? They're going to be like, I don't want to hang out with that guy. I know who he's hanging out with. They're just going to do this. They're going to do this. They're going to act one way and do another. So it's a life-changing, altering moment where who are you hanging out with? Who are you being with? Who are you spending your time with? So second chance people come into my business, who are they hanging out with? They're hanging out with the people that have got them there. They don't know any better. So it's my job as an owner, my job as a leader in this company to change the narrative. If you can change the narrative on that, it catapults your business. It catapults where you're going, but you're doing it for the one purpose and the one person only, to help people. And when people in my company see me and they know that I will do anything, but they know that if they're not doing it too, and they're not putting in their effort, that, hey, in a relationship, it's 100%, 100%. It's not 50-50. It's 100-100. If you're not giving me 100, how can I give you 100? That's what I talk in my life, in my company, in my life. That's what I expect out of my friends. 100%. And you know why? Because I'm going to give 100%. So that's so important. So who in your life right now, if you can reflect, if you can go back and say, you know what, who in my life gives me 100%? And you say 0 people, that means you got to check. I used to say, man, I have a lot of friends. Everybody used to say you have tons and tons and tons of friends. But I didn't have any friends because I didn't have one person that gave 100%. So I might have had all the acquaintances in the world, but I was lonely because I didn't have those friends. But when I changed the narrative and I did what I was supposed to do and go positive, people started coming out of the woodwork that I had no idea I'd ever have in my life. Be so positive that negative people don't want to hang out with you. That's an Ed Mylett quote. That is so powerful to me because if you are positive, negative people will not hang out with you. I've literally in the last 3 years got rid of 20 people in our company. You know why? Because we are starting to change. The culture is changing. The culture is changing. The culture is changing. And guess what? The culture is still not perfect. It's still not good. But I tell you what, every single other company is not even close to where we're at. And when people come in, you're like, well, you always talk about the culture and this, and this. Listen, culture isn't built overnight. Culture is built every single day, every single second of every single day. You have to, because guess what? If I hire 6 guys tomorrow, my culture changes. We have a good friend, Jay, Jay Duran, probably one of the most smartest people I know. And I love talking to him. We have our walks. You know, he's from your area, which I'm jealous because you get to see him all the time. But every year we get to have these hour walks in the morning. And we communicate and we converse about culture. What is culture? Like, what is truly culture? Culture to me is being there for every single person, regardless of the good and the bad. Because ultimately, you can't fail your people. But ultimately, I'm going to expect a lot out of those people. I'm going to expect 100%. In fact, so much to where I had a guy in my office, you know, not in my office, but works here. He has problems with drugs. He's been battling, but he wants to justify that he can smoke marijuana because it's legal. So he has this crutch. I told him that if he smokes marijuana, he doesn't have a job here, and he will be drug tested every single day. Because guess what? There is no crutch in this company. If you have a problem, you cut it off. What are you doing in your life that you're not cutting out? Is it porn? Is it drugs? Is it alcohol? Is it anger? What are you doing in your life that you have to get rid of? Cut it off now and watch what happens in your life. Because God doesn't want you to do those things. He wants better for you. He wants the best for you. Even though you're going to go back to those things and you're going to come back and you're going to go and you're going to come back and you're going to go, God loves you no matter what. You're going to fail, so don't expect to be perfect. So what I'm telling these guys in my company is like, we got your back. We got you. You are our family. We're not going to let you slip up. And if you slip up, we're going to get you back on the tracks. And we're going to get you back on the tracks. How many people that own companies give up on their people? How many people are negative? How many people are constant? Like, you can't even go up to people because you think they're going to be negative. We talk about it a lot. Relationships, husband and wife, my wife and I. Sometimes I'm scared to tell my wife things because I know what the outcome is. But how do I know, or how do I know she's going to react like that? I'm assuming. That's the key in life. Is communication. Having that communication. And the funny thing is I'm not even great at it. I'm working on it. It's one of my super things that I'm trying to have in my life that I just work on constantly. But I'm not perfect. If you think you're perfect, you're around the wrong people. Because that means too many people are feeding your ego. I say it a lot, ego, edging God out. Perfect example. You are edging God out when you're negative. You're edging God out when you think you're the best. Humble yourself. Understand that you're no bigger than a mustard seed, and you got to understand that. And we have a expiration on our life, every single one of us. Every day is a blessing. So if you're wasting, dude, I didn't get saved till 40 years old, guys. 40 years old. So 40 years of my life, I was just floating around in life. 40 years. There's people that have been 50, 60, 70, 80 years old before they've been saved. I find myself fortunate that I actually was saved at 40. So when I tell you guys these things, and we'll get back onto the whole thing because this has a lot to do with it, is like, you have to make sure that you're consistent and you're doing things on a consistent basis every single day. Because if you're consistent, watch out. In sales, when you're consistent making calls, making things, making leads, doing all these things every single day, you know, meeting customers, handshaking, doing this every single day, guess what? You can't do all the right things and get the wrong results. You will eventually get sales because it's just constant repetition. Pick up the Bible every single day, read one chapter, and watch what happens. In fact, so much if you read the chapter and you don't understand it, read it again. Read it again. Take 3 or 4 days to read that chapter because God's trying to tell you something. If you can't move farther down the line, that means there's something in there that you're missing. God's trying to tell you something. So I always look at things as a positive thing, and that's what I need to do to go that next level, to constantly be good. So when you say there's constant people are saying these things out there, and it's just a way to stunt us. They're trying to limit what we're doing in life, and that's the devil. So devil, get behind me. Stop doing that stuff. Get behind me. And I say this because it's so important to tell yourself every single day, I'm not perfect. God, use me as a vessel to go out in this world and make a positive impact for just one. I say that prayer every day. If
Uh,
you can do that, things are going to change in your life. And the last thing is, you have to give yourself time, personal time, educational time, self-development time, reading, working out, doing the things we were talking about. I haven't worked out in a long time because I tweaked my knee running my marathon last year. Probably one of the dumbest things I ever did, but I told myself I was going to do it, and I ran it. 26.1 miles. I'll never do it again, but I did it because I told myself I was going to do it. When I tell myself I'm going to do something, I do it no matter what. Well, something happened. I'm not the skinniest guy in the world. So like for me running that long of a distance, it probably did some bad things to my knees. So I'm in this funk right now. So we talk about it. We're in a funk. I got to get back to working out. I got to get back to, so you and I talked about it. You gave me this, stop drinking coffee in the morning, drink this. Like those are things that when you have people in your life, they shift the needle. So when I'm talking about it, you can say, well, this guy's talking about all this and he doesn't know what's going on. Dude, I'm just like you. I have the same problems, same issues, same things, same problems every single day. But I choose to be positive about it. I choose to be with people that aren't going to pull it down and judge me based those things. I'm going to choose people that are going to lift me up and where I can call and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. How do I deal with it? Or, hey, I had this issue the other day. Have you ever come across this? Oh, you have? Okay, well, how did you deal with it? So I can have the knowledge to figure out if I can get around it too. Because there's nobody in this world that is 100% happy and perfect every single day besides God. So you got to understand, you're going to get those punches. So when we're talking about this, be careful. Bruce Pulver says it best. Your words are very, very, very dangerous, very important too. So when you say things to people, you got to be very careful. You got to make sure your words matter, he says. Your words matter every single day in what you say, how you say it. Guess what, too? I don't say all the perfect words. So guess what the next thing is? You have to apologize. You have to show weakness, right? Right? Is that what people say? Well, if I say sorry, that's weakness. No. As a man, it's important to say, hey, I screwed up. I apologize for that. I've said sorry probably 150 times in my company to people because I was wrong. So are you in a work environment that is always pointing the finger at you being the problem and not looking in the mirror? So I look at those things. That's the way your life goes. If you're with somebody that's constantly blaming you for everything, usually they're the problem. So just know that all these little things All these little things help you get out of those things, the funks. And if you can start catapulting and doing the wins, I say the little wins, the micro wins, like the little wins, like it's so funny because people are like, I don't ever win. I don't ever win. Dude, you won by getting up and brushing your teeth. That's a win, dude. That is a win. It's a little win, but that's a win. Not hitting the snooze. That's like a touchdown and an extra. That's like a touchdown and a 2 point conversion. Because if you get up without hitting the snooze, that means you just catapulted your day completely different. Because when you hit that snooze, what it does is it puts you a state of saying, "Oh, that's okay. I'll just get 10 more minutes." Then you hit the snooze again. "Oh, I'll just get 10 more minutes." I had the snooze again. "Oh, I'll just get 10 more minutes." Meanwhile, you could have 30 minutes doing the things that's going to catapult you to the next level and get you out in front of everybody else. Everybody always says, well, wake up so early. You don't have to wake up early to do what I'm doing. You just have to do it when you get up. If you sleep till 11, you can do it at 11:30. If you sleep till 12, you can do it at 12:30. If you get up at 4, you can do it at 4:30. But it's very important to constantly do those things. So I'll let you talk a little bit, but man, it's what a great conversation to have, because it's like this is like something that for me, I hear it all the time. I hear so many people struggling and going through problems. And sometimes it's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just demons inside you and you just don't know where to go. But there's always something to reflect back to why that's happening. If you just dig deep, your brain it works crazy. It works really crazy. Like if you give yourself more time, you can actually think more. And you said it best. Hey, this podcast it's in the morning. It's gonna be like 100. Dude, you know why I'm so pumped up right now? Because I had the best morning. Because I literally have come out of what I was doing this morning with my Bible and study and reading and doing all this stuff, energized to come out and impact just one person. Too many people want to influence the world, but when there's that one person in front of you that you can impact, that's more than anything in the world. The one person. Being the light for that one person. I don't know how many people. I spoke in Texas probably about 3 months ago to probably about 100, maybe 150 facility managers. I had a company, one of my customers, and I mean, they had an Olympic medalist speak. They had, people that have been speaking for years, keynote speakers. They paid tons of money to have these people. At the end, I had probably 3/4 of the people talking to me. They're coming to me, and I asked them. I said, "Why are you coming to me?" They said, "Man, the words that come out of your mouth are just powerful." I was talking about asphalt. I wasn't talking about like hoorah, motivation, go, go, go. I was talking about infrareding asphalt. But I had the passion for it. I've been doing it for 20 years. I know what to do and how to do it. I know the ins and outs. Too many people want to impress people, but ultimately you just have to go show up and be yourself. And so that's the third thing that I do. You can't be somebody else. You can't be Ed Milet. You can't be the Andy Frisella. You can't be the top people in the world. You can't be Michael Jordan. You can't be Kobe Bryant. But what you can be is you can be Ryan Austin. So be yourself. The three things, man. It's literally the three things that help me be everything. You know what I was doing 7 years ago when I was drinking? I was trying to be somebody else. I was like, man, that person, I'm going to be like that person. Oh, I'm going to be like that person. I'm going to be like, I can't wait to be like that. Oh, when I get my company like this, I can't wait to do this. Dude, that's the literally instead of saying today, day one, that's one day I'm going to be this person. That's the mentality. So if you're finding yourself in the one day I'm going to be this, one day I'm going to be that, you're on the wrong side of the map. Day one. Today is day one. I'm going to do what I have to do every single day. And I find myself sometimes having to skip or, I go weeks without it, but I'm going to bring it right back. Consistency. If I'm not doing it, my life's out of whack. My life is discombobulated. You said it best. I got to get back to the, prayer group on Tuesday because I missed a couple weeks. I feel like I need to get back. Well, once you get back, you're going to feel like, holy crap, this is awesome. I
Mhm.
need to be here more because it drives me in my life. That's the key in life. Those are the three things that are so powerful that you can literally change the narrative today if you put those things to work. Now it's hard. It's not easy. So go ahead and talk a little bit. I'm not.
Oh,
I can
no,
literally talk about this conversation for hours.
yeah, I know, and that's why you're gonna keep coming back on the show. But like there's a lot to unpack there, but one of the main things too that I like your friends, and you kept relaying like your friendships and everything, the people you surround yourself with, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna figure out who your true people that you need in your corner are when in your lowest moments.
Mm-hmm.
In those moments that you are down, in those moments that uh you just are in the mud, those the people that come out to help you are those true people that you need in your life that God put in there for a reason. And that happened to me recently too, because I was thinking about this when, I had kind of a breakdown moment and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I got friends here. Uh, I'm not talking to them about it. I'm talking to Ryan about it. I'm talking to people like Brad Modrich or Brian Hess or
Mm-hmm.
these people in my life that God has blessed me with that are true friends that want to get me out of these moments because they've been there too. Renee Armas, I'll give him a shout out too. He's a good friend of mine. We built him a house and him and I have become close and we talk faith all the time now. And I actually sent him that text you sent me this morning, that video. And it's just talking to people like that, you find out like who's truly in your corner. And then I have my friends that I've always had that, and I bring it up to them and they're like, "Oh, that sucks."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Okay, thanks for any kind of advice. Like you don't give me anything. That's it."
That's
So,
it's so funny you say that.
yeah. So it's like, I mean, the people, you guys out there that are listening to this, man, we all have those friends. We all have those friends that are just there. I think Daniel Good puts it the best when he says you got your feel good friends and then you got your real good friends. Shout out to him. But
Mhm.
it's just, that's such a true statement because as you get older, as you go through life, like there's gonna be people that you don't associate with really anymore, and they're gonna give you crap. They're gonna be like, I never see you anymore, man. But
Oh yeah.
what value did they add to your life? What did they and I don't want to sound I don't want to sound like just like ego driven by saying this or anything, but you have to surround yourself with people that want you to succeed and want you to level up. And that's what I've done. And you have gotten me out of that hole that I was in. I mean, I'm still climbing out, but it's like we just talked about too. There's always, if you're at the bottom right now, there's always a way out. There's always up. There's only one way to go, and that's up. If you're in the pits, you're in the dumps, and you don't think you can get out, there's always a way out and there's always up. And just find people that can help and support you too. Talk to people because if you're living this thing by yourself and keeping it trapped in, that's one of the worst things possible that leads to an explosion, leads to other problems, leads to family issues, leads to all these chain reaction of problems. And a lot of the stuff Ryan said was so spot on too. Um, and to counter that too, Ryan, I wrote down, what if you can't find good people in your life? Because I want to attack all these people
Yeah.
that are listening that are saying these they have their defense up and they're like, well, I can't find any good people to be around me. I've looked, or I can't find good employees, or I can't find what's the counter of that?
It's so simple, man. It's because you're looking too hard.
Nah.
People come into your life for a reason, and a season, and a lifetime. So you have to understand that that's the because when you're trying to push things, you're not putting it in God's hands. Like God's gonna put the people in your life that He needs to put in your life. Like literally, like when one door closes, another one opens. That's how I look at things. Like everybody's like, well, we can't fire this guy. He does so much. He's got a negative attitude. He needs to go. He needs to leave. When this door closes, another one will open. And I say that to my people. And guess what happens? Not even a week later, we get somebody that's 50,000 times better. And they're like, how did that happen? Like, how did that happen? I'm like, because we had to have faith in it. You have to have faith in what you're doing on a daily basis. If you think you can't find anybody, that means God knows that you're trying to do it yourself. Let Him be the driver of the seat. You be the co-pilot and you watch.
Hmm.
People are looking too hard when they're trying to find people. I went to a conference literally 3.5 years ago, Grow Your Business for God's Sakes. I met Anthony Hart. I went to that room with purpose of nothing. Like open my eyes, put people in my life, do whatever you got to do, God. And I met Anthony. Anthony is now leading with Brad, our one men's spur group on Tuesday nights. The guy's powerful. The guy is powerful. The guy was put in my life for a reason. Guess why? Now look at how many men are getting influenced and coached and mentored by Anthony Hart. It's because we're trying to look too hard and we're missing the real people in front of us because we think it needs to be an Ed Milet or it needs to be this person or it needs to be that person. When meanwhile, you can get your biggest impact by the person that changes the garbage and McDonald's because you look at them and you see something in them that you don't see in anybody else. They love their job. They're doing it with love and passion and pride. That person is going to change your life. I get teary-eyed because there's many people in my life. The McDonald's person that I've seen that's changed and catapulted my life. The person that's playing drums with pots and pans in front of the stadium. Instead of walking by them, going to them and talking to them and finding out why they're doing what they're doing, what's their purpose, what they're struggling with. Stop looking for things in all the wrong places. Give it to God and let Him put people in your life. Because I was trying to put people in my life. I was trying to be around people. I was trying to do these things, trying to be this person. But the problem is nobody was coming into my life. But when I stopped and I said, God, please, you have the driver's seat. I'm done. People coming into my life. The Brian Hesses, the Anthony Harts, the Brad Modrits, the Bill Reimans, the Daniel Wrights, the Jeremy Coacheses. Like those are the people that have changed my life. In fact, so much that your brother-in-law is changing my life.
Hmm.
Because he's struggling. But I see myself in it. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to help him. Because help, H-E-L-P, is my drug of choice.
Hmm.
What's your drug? That's what you have to look at. What's your drug? Ego, money, status. Listen, easy come, easy go. If you think you're going to be up here forever, you're crazy because nobody's up here forever. The man upstairs says he's been up there forever. So just know that you have to be there for people. The McDonald's garbage person, the person that's playing pots and pans in front of the just looking for a dollar, or the Nates that are struggling because they went over to the service and they're struggling. That is key, is being the four-letter word HELP, the help for those people. And in turn, you become where you have purpose. When you have purpose, there's nothing better in this world. Because ultimately, we're striving for purpose. You don't have to make millions of dollars to give purpose. You just have to flick the light switch on every once in a while in the areas that you're in. Because when you do that, you're literally catapulting changing people's life. And that's the key. Changing people's life one day at a time. People are saying, they always say, well, you're going to change thousands of people's life. All I care about is one every day. Because that's that micro goal that no matter what, I can accomplish. Too many people try to accomplish things that are out of their power. They're not in control because they can't control the narrative. So you can only control with what you can control. So you can control by brushing your teeth in the morning. But you can't control driving to work and getting in an accident because that's out of your control. Somebody might hit you. You might hit a deer. But you can go to work and you can say, hey, man, I appreciate you. You can control that. You can pick up the phone and say, hey, Bill, appreciate you. Thanks for being my buddy. Really means a lot to me. You can control that. You can't control getting a speeding ticket because you make mistakes. But you can control to buy a coffee for a cop in line and say, I appreciate you. Because that will catapult his life to doing something for somebody else. So there's choices in life. There's things that you can do, and people choose to do the easy things. And this stuff's hard. This stuff's intentional. This stuff is with consistency. So when you put the consistency in and do the right things, look out. Watch what happens. Watch where your life goes. Watch what things start to change. I tell you this all the time. I don't give a crap about money. Never have, never will. It's pretty funny when you put everything in God's hands and watch what happens. Two things. Money turns bad people into bad people, or badder or worse. Money for good people turns good people into better people and helps. And you pour into people and you take that money and you pour it out to everybody. That's the number one thing that I love. I love taking my money and being so generous. And the reason why I do that is because it's not my money. It's God's, because he's the one that's blessing me with it. I have two big screens in front of me. Literally two big monitors. I had four monitors on before, but I have two big long screens in front of my computer. I look at myself in this thing, in this screen, and I look at myself and I say, man, I'm proud of this guy. I'm proud of myself. How many times have you said that to yourself? That's what God wants you to do. He wants you to be proud of everything that you do. And I'm proud.
Love it, man.
And I'll tell
No,
you why I'm proud. Because I'm doing everything that He wants me to do.
mm,
So that's the key, is to make sure that you're there, present. You're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing when people are watching. One of my core values is integrity here. If you are doing things that are not integrity driven, you will be gone. Show some integrity within yourself. Say the things, do the things. Don't shortcut anything. Go out and be the light and watch what happens. Because ultimately, you're one decision, one moment. Ed Milet said this: one decision, one moment, one interaction away from something changing big in your life. And if you can think about that every single day, there's one person that's going to come to you one day and change your life. And that could be a job, that could be a mentorship, that could be something that you have no idea that's going to happen, but that person's right in front of you. Are you going to see it? That's all I got for you, man.
no, amazing, man. Yeah, as always, amazing, and always respect you. Really appreciate you. Just happy to have our friendship and grateful for you, man. Like this will impact somebody, and you talk about impacting one person. This will definitely impact one person or multiple people too. So, for you guys that are listening to this, just reach out to Ryan. You guys have his information. He's on Instagram, Ryan Austin. Just search for him. You message him
Yeah, so
there. Message
it's
him.
easy. It's real Ryan, Real, Ryan Austin. Pretty simple.
Yeah, and you can find him on all social platforms. Reach out to him. Reach out to me. We're here to help, and this I hope impacted some of you guys out there that might be struggling right now. Use these tools. Use these things that Ryan talked about today. They do help. Ryan has been a big influence on me and helping me, and kind of just going back to what works. And this stuff truly, truly does work. So, brother. I appreciate you, man. I'm proud of you too. And thank you. Thank you. This was a great episode.
All right, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening. Please take the time to like, share, subscribe, and obviously share this, like I just said, because this one was a big one. Goes a long way to share it with your friends and family. 5-star reviews go a long way too. Keep bumping up the show, and we will see you guys on the next one.